Well, good Taco Tuesday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods. How are you guys doing here this morning? It is Tuesday morning, and we have decided to do something different. The clock has been idle since the beginning of the season. You know, we usually started at about, 130 days or so before the season to, kind of count down, have something to look forward to, and so on. But I needed to start it today because the Odell Beckham Jr. countdown is on. A week from yesterday, 5 days, and as the clock, I set it for 10 o'clock roughly. 5 days, 23 hours, 48 minutes, and 40 seconds away from Odell at some point during that day on next Monday, coming by to see the Cowboys. In the meantime, and in between time, he's going to be doing his thing, which will be visiting the Buffalo Bills as well as the New York Giants. Yesterday, when all my troubles seemed so far away, Mike McCarthy said, full steam ahead. Damn the torpedoes. Full steam ahead on Odell, that he didn't think that it changed anything from him with that. We had Stephen Jones basically say, it's probably best not to discuss it anymore, while we work on seeing if we can bring him in. In other words, to see how low a deal I can try and strike with him. And we've now had the evolution of, it used to just be everybody looked forward to Tuesday when it was Jerry Jones Day on 103.5 The Fan. But now we have Mondays, Manic Mondays, with Stephen Jones. So he speaks on Monday, Jerry speaks on Tuesday. So today, this morning, about an hour ago, on a Beckham's recent plane incident, and their thinking was something to worry about, would it impact them wanting him? Well, no, it did not. His overall capability, his judgment, his behavior is not an issue with him. It is in many ways, but not with him. On his impressions of speaking with Beckham, well, he's very genuine, very competitive, feels confident, feels good about himself, and I think he breeds confidence. Very, very capable. We think he can fit in really good with us. On him needing him this season, we have to this year. It's very important. The things we do to have an impact this year has to be the big part of it. We have 6 regular season games and playoffs. We have, in my mind, almost a whole show ahead of us. We got to have a situation where he can contribute right now. There's an urgency. There is a full court press for Jerry Jones to bring in Odell Beckham Jr. It sounds like it sounds like everybody is hauled in on the Odell Beckham Jr. Situation. So that's why we've got the countdown clock counting down to whether, Odell signs with the Cowboys or not. It's the concerning thing to me is still the timeline. Is he going to actually be able to play this year at a level that is going to be beneficial? That is the big question. That is the real question that we have to say, or actually maybe the doctors have to say. It seems to be so much information that's kind of conflicted. We heard that he was going to be released before Thanksgiving, to be able to play. That'll be early December, and then we start hearing, late December and things like that. Has there been a setback? Was the reason we're waiting to see him is to give it another week of him to rehab and try to get it straight. When they do the examination. They're going to put him through. They're going to get him out on the field. They're going to have the doctors poking and prodding and bending and shifting and everything else to really check out the stability of that knee and see how well it's going to be. I wish I knew. I wish this was just one of those things that we could just hurry up and get over and just be done with. We've been talking about Odell ad nauseum for so long, it gets to be kind of ridiculous. So, yeah, we just have to wait and see. And now, I don't know if you ended up watching the game last night. It turned out to actually be a better game than I thought. The Steelers prevailed, and the honeymoon is definitely over for Jeff Saturday. Jeff Saturday, who had trashed the Raiders, played the Raiders, won that game, was close with the Eagles, and unfortunately last night, the lack of experience truly showed in the last 2 minutes. They had 2 minutes. They had time to go down and score. They had 3 timeouts. 2 minutes and 3 timeouts left to go in a game. Should be a lifetime. But I remember last night, and I'm going to actually go back and look at the recording from last night, because I believe they only ran 3 plays until they finally used a timeout, in which case there was only 30 seconds. And Jeff's response was, I thought we had more time. I thought we had plenty of time. They wasted a lot of time, and and not only did they waste the time, it looked like they weren't ready for the plays when they were going out there and executing them. And so it'll be interesting to see how much blowback there is against him, Jeff Saturday, because they blew it. If Mike McCarthy had done what Jeff Saturday did, it would have been from the moment the game ended 24/7. It would have been a TMC report about how bad, how criminal the clock management was. It was awful. And I'm sure Colt fans are like, what the hell? But it's one of those things. And it's easy for us to be Monday morning quarterback to kick back, after the fact and say, well, you should have done this, this, and this. It's a different thing when you're in it in real time and having to deal with those situations and stuff. So until you've been under the pressure of it, you probably would have shit your pants too. So I want to go to this morning. This is interesting. These power rankings and stuff are coming out. It is Taco Tuesday or Power Rankings Tuesday. And go to the Max Kellerman Show. They have an interesting take with Keyshawn Johnson. You're beginning to see a few people out there that are beginning to get on the Dallas Cowboys bandwagon. Seems like Keyshawn is one. Mike Greenberg's another one that seems to be getting on there. And then, of course, you have the anti-Cowboy ones that no matter what, the Dan Orlowskis who say that, well, the Cowboys just squeaked by the Giants, and so, I don't that they're not a threat to the Eagles and so on. But let's listen to this power ranking this morning.
12th, yes, that is correct. In my real rankings, everybody has their own rankings and what they think teams are. I'm sure Mike Tannenbaum, Jay Will, and yourself will, have something to say about the way things are. But let's knock it down, Yates.
Number 7.
So it's 7 teams this week. Last week it was 8. Tennessee was sitting at 8. They're not in the top 7. Cincinnati Bengals, your team with Joe Burrow. Max is certainly sitting in the top 7 this week. Last week they were not in it, but they seem to be hitting their stride without Jamar Chase in the lineup. They're still throwing the ball all over a lot, doing some things with Joe Burrow, getting out of there with a W this past week.
Number 6.
Number 6, things don't change from last week. Buffalo Bills on a tough call over Thanksgiving against the Detroit Fighting Lions and Dan Campbell. They win that victory after 2 straight games in Detroit. They sit at 6. Nothing changes there.
Number 5.
And number 5 doesn't change at all again. The Miami Dolphins took care of business against the Texans. They were 5 last week. They're 5 again this week. There's only 7 teams in this week's real ranking. Tua's playing amazing. The offense is doing great. This team is on poise to do something, hopefully, during the postseason.
Tua is playing amazing.
Number 4.
Number 4, does it change again from last week? The San Francisco 49ers sit at 4 They took care of business against the Arizona Cardinals. I think they certainly are going to give Cliff Kingsbury his walking papers at the end of the year based on the way we see things. Not calling for him to get fired. Not my job. He's doing it himself.
Number 3.
Wow.
Now, this is where it gets very interesting. Things change. This is where the controversy starts, right? Last week at number 3 with the Philadelphia Eagles. This week I put the Kansas City Chiefs in there. Look, it wasn't a great victory over the Rams. The Rams are a banged-up team, broken-down team. Sean McVay looks like he's 75 years old now. When he was People's Magazine's top 100 most beautiful in the world.
Most beautiful babies.
Yes,
and
always.
Now he's
he's 75 years old. The team is certainly worn on him. Kansas City's still in the top 3. They just fell a little bit.
This list is terrible.
It's horrible.
What a terrible list. Boo.
Of course, James Steele, our producer, Kansas City Chief fan, doesn't agree with me. Sitting at number 2, Yates,
Number 2.
the Philadelphia Eagles. How can Philadelphia? They got one loss. There's no way they should be number 2. They should be number 1. They beat Green Bay. Yeah, they beat the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers gets hurt and doesn't finish the game. Jordan Love comes in. Jalen Hurts puts himself at number 2 in the MVP conversation. It's a really good football team, no question about it. But right now, as it stands, I don't know if they're better than the number 1 team.
Number 1.
And the number 1 team, the Dallas Cowboys. Michael Parsons and company, along with Dak Prescott. They're going to probably pick up OBJ to add some more firepower to the offense. Ezekiel Elliott and Pollard. You know, CeeDee Lamb, if he can hold on to the football, he'll be a real good lamb to chop, so to speak, for you to eat up. Hey, that's it. Simple and plain. The Cowboys, the Eagles, Kansas City, San Francisco, the Miami Dolphins, Buffalo, Cincinnati. You can argue all you want about the way the real rankings look this week, because next week, there's no telling who's in there.
Oh, we will argue. These rankings are brought to you by Dell. For your small business needs, call Dell Technologies Advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. As you heard Key mention, Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN NFL front office insider, is with us.
Interesting.
Here at Seaport. Good morning, Mike.
Rhinestone Cowboy.
So Jay is champing at the bit to go at Key's list. What about you?
I just every week, Mike. This is what we have to endure.
I just want to know what team's supposed to be where. Help me.
How can Kansas City not be number 1? You had the number 1 last week. You're the only person I know that knocks a team down for
win by
winning
2
games.
touchdowns, and you.
They played
you guys didn't win by 50, so I'm going to knock you down
They
3.
struggled to beat the Rams in the red zone. They couldn't even score. Like, serious.
So Dallas lost to Green Bay 2 weeks ago.
But that was 2 weeks ago. This is this week.
I can't, Mike.
This week.
I
Mike,
can't. There's a Cowboy infatuation that
Mike,
we have here on this. Keyshawn Johnson. Did you play for the Cowboys or did you not?
Look, with your
Cup of coffee. Have a cup of
yes
coffee.
or no question. Got me up here like Don Lemon. Is yes or no question?
Yes or no
a
question.
little bit now. That I think about it.
Jeez.
Curtis Granderson, I think. Mike, I'm very relieved that Key has Cowboys number 1, and so many people are now taking them to win the Super Bowl. I was nervous early in the year when no one was taking them, because every year people take them and they never win. I was thinking, oh, no one's taking them, they might win. That Key has them rated so high gives me comfort as a Giants fan. What do you think of his rankings?
I'll say this about Dallas. Like, I think they have the highest ceiling. Like, if everyone played their A game, people don't understand. Like, Dak Prescott, since he's been back, they're number 1 in the NFL in points.
Yes.
And then you have Micah Parsons and everything on defense.
Yes.
So I think their A game is really interesting.
What is Dak Prescott's ceiling? Is it what it was 2 years ago? Is it a different ceiling?
He's a top 6 quarterback, in my opinion.
Man, that dude can spit it out,
Top
Mike.
6 quarterback?
Man, he can spit it out,
He's
Jay.
a top. Wait,
Yes.
time out. He's a top 6 quarterback.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, give me 6 that you would take before.
Patrick Mahomes,
Oh, God, don't
Josh
start this
Allen,
conversation
Justin
again.
Herbert, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson is 5 off the top of my head. I
That's
would
not-
still take Aaron Rodgers
I'm
as
not gonna-
6.
No, see, I would still take
You're on crack right
Brady at
now.
7.
Rodgers.
Yeah.
Or what? Are we playing golf? Or what?
Oh, wow.
Jeopardy.
Back-to-back MVP seasons. He's had a broken
Yeah.
thumb. And
Back-to-back
He just
MVP.
came off back-to-back losses, too, probably.
No, I'm not. But still, in the big scheme of things,
No, I'm
At
not.
this moment,
right
no.
now, I'm probably
Jalen
not.
Hurts.
No, I'm probably not. I'm
Top
taking Jalen
6.
Hurts. I'm taking Tua.
we have conversations
I'm not-
about him
I'm not
being
doing
top
that.
10.
I'm taking Jalen Hurts in a heartbeat.
I'm sorry, Mike. I just top 6. Just really.
Look how he's playing. Just he has great accuracy, great anticipation, and not all completions are the same.
Exactly.
You see, like the run after catches because he is extremely accurate. And look, they're number 1 in the league scoring, and they don't even have a great bunch of receivers.
Thank you.
I think this team is, again, we know anything can happen, but if every team played their best game, they're the Super Bowl
There
champs.
you go.
Well, anything could happen, but so given all that, it's a miserable failure if they don't make a deep playoff run, right? Like miserable failure.
You know what we
Be
talk
careful.
about?
This is Max setting it up
Right.
now.
You know what's really interesting that could happen? We were talking about this earlier.
Interesting
Is
talk.
round one of the playoffs, and this is why the NFL is the NFL. Dallas will be a road favorite at Tampa Bay because let's just say Philly holds on to the division.
Yeah.
Dallas has to go on the road in round one, and
right.
they'll likely have to go to Tampa, and they'll be favored as the road.
Yeah,
team.
Don't
that's a
let Tom
cupcake,
Brady
though.
knock him out in the first round.
Dallas
Don't
would
let that
destroy Tampa.
happen.
Though. I mean, Tampa's O-line is decimated.
Dallas
man.
is
At the
a
defense.
Dallas is a really good football team.
Agreed.
And part of the problem is with Dak Prescott, he has a little bit of the Kirk Cousins
Oh,
sort
no, you
of
didn't.
feel to people. That's why they always, the moment you say he's really good, what do you mean? It's like, no, man, this dude really is good. He spits the ball out a certain way, and that is important. When you're in your stride and you're catching the football and you're not breaking stride, like Mike was talking about with him, that's the type of quarterback you want. Now, you talk about Kansas City dropping the 3, Jay. They struggled in the red zone against the Rams, okay? Philadelphia's sitting at 2. I like it, but I think the Cowboys with Dak Prescott coming up, I think they played December 18th, I believe. They play the Eagles. I think they're going to wind up beating Philadelphia at home in Texas Stadium. So I'm giving you an early look
Christmas
at
Eve.
Christmas Eve. Yeah, Christmas Eve. So I'm looking at them beating them in Dallas.
Can I bring up one other team from that division, like sneaky under the radar?
Commanders.
I brought it up yesterday. I was talking about it. I
Yeah,
already knew it.
and when we talk about like leadership and problem solving, like Ron Rivera to me is as much of a coach of the year candidate. Like he is like talking about like a battlefield commander. I think Coach Rivera is doing an unbelievable job. And by the way, they don't even have Chase Young yet, and they're playing really
He's
good.
a
looked
poor
up-
man's Mike Tomlin or Harbaugh. Like his teams always compete. Maybe they're not winning Super Bowls, but Rivera teams compete every single year.
I looked up and they were 7-5. I'm like,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
And the Giants are wiped out by injury too. So the Commanders are going to get healthy as the Giants are getting hurt.
And
And
look,
Brian Robinson's been a beast too, man. The way they've been running the ball has been
Yeah, and
legit.
just given all the things that they deal with off the field, the fact that in this day and age where distractions are so pronounced, like I just think it says so much about Ron Rivera's leadership and character that they're
the Commanders.
And how about Taylor Heineke? Them actually playing for Taylor Heineke. It's not Carson
They are.
Wentz.
That's
That's
the
the
thing.
main thing. It's not Carson Wentz.
But I give
Team
Ron
usually
Rivera
responds,
credit.
but
Like,
it's not
look,
Carson
I didn't like the move where he went to Carson Wentz, but the fact he was able to pivot, though, Mike, I give him a lot of credit for that.
Hey, Key, we here are not the only ones with criticism of your list. Will in Connecticut has something to say.
Oh, God.
Will,
Yes.
you are
it's
on the
your time,
air.
bro.
Hey, good morning, guys.
How you
Good
doing?
morning.
Hey, I just wanted to respond to Key about his list. You got Dallas up there at number 1. Dallas is a very talented team, but they also a very highly undisciplined team. Almost every year they lead in the leagues in penalties. I can't see them being better than Philly or the Chiefs. Chiefs is definitely the number 1 team. Philly is definitely playing like the number 2 team in the league. And Dallas, we know who Dallas is. They're a good regular season team every year.
We're not in the playoffs yet, though. So, in
Trying to capture the moment.
The penalties haven't come to get there.
I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to say this. The Cowboys in 3 weeks, they did in 3 weeks in 12 games. 3 weeks in 12 games. They did lose to Green Bay, but they played a one-loss team in Minnesota in their house and beat them. They then play on a short week a division rival who had only had 2 losses. I'm sorry, 3 losses. 3 losses. Or is it? No. I can't remember. But anyway, they were headed for the playoffs. I'm having a brain fart. We're 8-3. They're 7-4. Sorry. Yeah, 3 losses. Giants had 3 losses and had been second in our division. That's 2 potential playoff teams in 3 weeks. You got to at least give them some credit there on a short week. Now, of course, power rankings are up for discussion and things like that. NFL.com, theirs is the Philadelphia Eagles at 10-1. Monster performance and primetime games can serve up the ultra fuel in the MVP race. Jalen Hurts showed it's okay. Well, they ended up, they beat Green Bay, a team we didn't. They beat them at home. But I look at that defense that gave up 33 points to not only a banged up Aaron Rodgers, but 10 points to Jordan Love. And you look at that and say, yeah, you guys ran the hell out of the football, 363 yards. But I don't know that you're going to be able to continue to run Jalen Hurts that way constantly. If people would actually learn how to get the quarterback draw stopped, I think you might be able to stop and figure out the Philadelphia Eagles. And mind you, the Eagles ended up escaping against that clock management snafu team last week, barely, and lost to the Commanders left hand up the week before. But be that as it may, they have Kansas City at number 2. The Chiefs aren't quite themselves on Sunday, but their margin of error is significant after falling against the Rams, blah, 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 blah. And Pat Mahomes, he had some turnovers. They didn't look great. He had an end zone interception in the fourth quarter, but they find ways to win. This is where it hits me. San Francisco played in Mexico against the Saints and got a 13-0 win. The 49ers are an NFL superpower because they can thump you in different ways. Last Monday night in Mexico City, we saw what the offense can do when it's in a groove. On Sunday against the Saints, it's the defense turned its muscles to a 13-0 win. The Niners have not allowed a second-half point during their 4-game winning streak, with opponents averaging a mere 10 points per that span. DeMarco Ryans' group will enter December as the number 1 defense in the NFL in both yards and points allowed. The Niners have finished the season on top of both categories simultaneously in their rich history, something that's cooking in San Francisco. Okay, then we have the Dallas Cowboys at number 4. So this is where it gets me here. There's been an avalanche of speculation connecting Odell Beckham to the Cowboys, but perhaps America's team would be better off without their famous wideout, and that excluding factors connect with his recent air travel misadventure. Michael Gallup made several difficult catches in the last Thursday's 28-20 win over the Giants, the sure sign, yet the rounding him to form into form after offseason surgery. CeeDee Lamb continues to play his role as a bona fide number 1, logging 2 100-yard efforts in the past 3 weeks. A healthy Gallup profiles as a highly capable Robin to Lamb's Batman. Why mess up a good thing? So, San Francisco's offense scores no points, and they're considered a juggernaut. The Dallas Cowboys now have, with Dak Prescott, the highest scoring offense. Nobody talks about that. In that you have their defense, which has dropped to number 2, which is leading the league in sacks. I'm actually okay with them dissing the Dallas Cowboys and what they've done, because it seems like that motivates the Cowboys. When the Cowboys are expected to destroy Green Bay like we should have, instead we shit the bed. So maybe in the grand scheme of things, having the disrespect and people not thinking that we're that guy, that team, is maybe better. But, it is what it is. So that's what we've got here to start this morning. The Odell Beckham Jr. countdown clock will be running, and we'll see what happens on that one. As always, I appreciate you. Peace.
Our Colts here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing.